We good?
Finally.
You'll hear, okay, just one, you'll hear a voice and then you're good to go.
Okay, all right. Well, welcome everybody, and those of you who are listening online. I do have, there's some background noise coming somewhere. Okay, I have a preliminary statement that I need to make based upon the governor's order here. As chairman of the Education Committee, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance to the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the committee and selected staff have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting through this platform. And the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting by clicking on the following website address. That address is https://zoom.us/j/97236261808, or dialing one of the following phone numbers: 1-312-626-6799 or 1-929-205-6099. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously noticed that the public of necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access a meeting using Zoom or telephonically. This information is printed in the House calendar. C, providing a mechanism for public to alert the public body during the meeting if there is a problem with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 271-3600 or email hcs@ledge.state.nh.us. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. I want to introduce to you the staff that are helping us, assisting with this meeting. Jen Ford, who we know, will be hosting the meeting. Additional staff providing support are Christina Dreyer and Brad Greenland. This is a work session on bills referred to the Education Committee for interim study. An executive session will follow when we deal with each bill separately. Copies of the interim study bills have been posted on the main page of the General Court website under the heading, quote, remote meetings, end quote. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. So let's start the meeting by taking a roll call in attendance. When each member states their presence, place of where they are, and if anyone's in their room with them during the meeting, which is required under the right to know law. So I will start the meeting by stating that this is Mel Myler. This is Mel Myler. I'm calling from, do we know what that noise is, Jen?
It looks like it might be coming from Dave's speakers.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
It may be a volume setting or something like that.
So this is, I'm Mel Myler. I'm calling from Port Clyde, Maine, and I'm here in my room by myself. David Luno,
Dave Luno here in Hopkinton with Ozzy the long-haired dachshund.
Art,
Art Ellison here in Concord. I'm alone in my house.
Dave Doherty, no, we can't hear you, David. Okay, all right, got it.
He's here.
All right, he's here. Linda Tanner,
Linda Tanner, I'm in Georges Mills by myself.
Rick Ladd,
Rick Ladd is here in Haverhill with my wife teaching the two kids homeschooling. They'll probably pass back and forth now and then.
Sue Mullen,
Sue Mullen here in Bedford with a likely intrusive cat.
Patty Cornell,
Patty Cornell in Manchester alone.
Tamara Lee,
This is Tamara Lay in Northampton with my two daughters who are in enhanced virtual learning class at the moment.
Cole Reel,
Hey, Cole here in my office. Might be some folks in and out as we go along here. Great to see everyone.
Jim Allard,
Yes, Jim Allard here at home in Pittsfield. My wife is in the building, but probably won't come through here at all. But we may be invaded by a couple of golden retrievers who know no discipline.
Steve Woodcock,
Morning, Mel. I'm here in North Conway with my wife walking in and out, and my dog who is now blowing out her other ACL and going nowhere.
Barbara Shaw,
Yes, I am here in Manchester by myself, except for my phone.
Dave, you want to try it? Dave Doherty, you want to try it again?
How's this?
Very good.
Better.
Good. Okay, I'm here. I'm alone in the room. My wife may be coming in and out of the kitchen. I'm in Pembroke.
We are also here with staff, Brad Greenlawn. Are you there, Brad? We'll pass. How about Christina? Christina Dry, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, where are you, Christina?
I am in the Legislative Office Building.
Very good.
And yes, thank you.
Thank you. And then Jen 4.
Yes, and if I can interrupt, I believe that Representative Elliott may be connected by phone, but he's in the attendee list. If I may, I'll allow him to talk.
Sure.
And you can get his information.
Thank you. Bob, are you there?
Representative Elliott, if you phoned in, please press *6 to unmute yourself and address the committee. It's *6, Representative Elliott. So clearly I'm not getting a response.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So.
I can ask Brad if he can reach out, if he's able to get through to Representative Elliott. It's the phone number appears to be the same as what we have on file, but we'll just give it a try. And if he's able to connect, you'll see him come in.
Okay, then we'll do that, address that when he does come in. What I do want to indicate to everyone is that we have 11 interim study bills that we'll be dealing with. The action that we are to take this morning are really two options. One is to either recommend for future legislation, or two, not recommend for future legislation. I also want to say that even though we recommend future or not future legislation, this does not prohibit someone from filing a bill on the particular topic that we're dealing with. We will first deal with an open session. I will open the session on each bill, asking Dave Luno to basically cite the number of the bill and read the indication that notes for the bill. We will then close once we have an opportunity to talk. If there are questions or issues around that, I will then close that open work session and move immediately to an exec session on that bill. And we will then take a motion and have an action on that, in which there will be a roll call vote for each of those recommendations. The committee should also know that there is only a single report that is made for these interim bills. And that report will reflect both the various opinions on that particular bill, with only a single report coming out. We will, if you want to speak during the session, just raise your hand in front and we'll recognize you, so you'll have a chance to speak. Are there any questions regarding the process for dealing with these 11 bills? Seeing none, then I will ask David to open our first bill, which is House Bill 716. David?
Sure, happy to do that, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Good morning.
So I'd like to open the work session on House Bill 716.
So thank you again, Mr. Chair. House Bill 716 is relative to transportation costs of certain pupils and making an appropriation therefore. It was sponsored by Representative Flanagan, Representative Ladd. I think maybe if people recall back to the hearing, would you like me to speak on this, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay. It was a long day of hearings, and I think it was towards the end of the day, and my notes are a little brief on it, but I think there was some confusion with respect to the RSA, the relevant RSA that this would need to be where it would need to go, but it was specific to provide reimbursements to school districts that face transportation costs following a court-ordered placement to a school where the student is currently attending. My feeling is that it's certainly a very good policy. I think it needs some work, and I think it probably needs to be folded into the work that any work with regards to school funding, specifically transportation, and these are things that the School Funding Commission is also taking up. So I would, when we get into an exec, I would recommend it for further legislation.
Any questions or comments on House Bill 716?
Yeah, I have one, Mel. When this bill was introduced, it was a result of a student that was in District A being placed by the court in District B. And it's the latter part of the school year, and the student educationally is best served remaining in school District A. However, the child is now legally been placed in District B, and now it's up to District B if they're going to provide that transportation cost to District A. There are some issues with this, especially when you get into some real high cost transportation issues associated with an IEP or special education services. However, the intent and the principle behind this, I think, is a good one. And I think that it needs to go forward, but I believe, as Dave Luno just mentioned, there perhaps are some issues with respect to reference to a specific RSA, and also having more information in terms of how this is going to really impact the financial costs of the district, who's now has agreed to accept this child and keep the child, but is not any longer receiving that special ed support, so funding support. That's the comment. It was an issue that we could not resolve in committee quickly. Therefore, we thought it needed more study, which we have not been able to give it.
Any further comments on House Bill 716? Appearing to have no further comments, I will close the work session on that and open the executive session on House Bill 716. And I'd call on Dave Luno for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move that we recommend this for future legislation.
Thank you. That's seconded by Dave Doherty. Are there further comments or questions regarding House Bill 716? Seeing none, I will have our clerk, Representative Tanner, call the roll on House Bill 716. Representative Tanner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno?
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw?
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell?
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty?
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay?
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison?
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen?
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel?
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Vallone? Representative Woodcock?
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd?
Yes.
Representative Ladd votes yes. Representative Cordelli? Representative Elliott? Representative Bohm? Representative Wolf? Representative Allard?
Yes.
Representative Allard votes yes. Chairman Myler?
Yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. The resulting vote is 13 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much. I'll close exec session on House Bill 716 and open the work session on House Bill 723. Representative Luno, please read the message.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 723 is relative to requiring a criminal history records check for applicants for teaching certification. It was recommended interim study following a subcommittee session, I believe, chaired by Representative Tanner and also including Representatives Ellison and Allard.
Are there comments on House Bill 723? Appearing not to have any comments, I will close the work session on 723 and open the executive session on House Bill 723. And I'd like to call on Representative Shaw for a motion.
Yes, I'd like to refer for further legislation.
So are you referring it for further legislation or not? Not referring it for further legislation?
I believe that we decided that it would be good for further legislation.
Is there a second?
I'll
Not-
second for discussion.
Okay, it's moved and seconded by Representative Shaw and Ladd. Open for discussion.
Can we hear did the subcommittee have any work on this? You mentioned 3 names of committee members.
I will comment on that. I don't know who that is. We met several times, and one of the things about this background, the requiring the criminal history background checks, record checks, it's kind of in a state of revision. They work to try to get school bus drivers with background checks in multiple districts. There's a new system, I think, with the Department of Safety, at least they were talking about that, about instituting a new system so that they could do substitute teachers, nurses, bus drivers. And I think that system is also possibly something the Department of Education will want to look at. It really, the bill as we had it, really wasn't ready for prime time or for further future legislation. I think the future legislation has to be a brand new bill, coming in.
Okay. Jim, is that your hand? Jim, is that your hand up? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it is. As a member of that subcommittee, I would concur what Representative Tanner just said. There were some significant issues with the Department of Safety's current capability, both in terms of staffing and technology, to take on an additional burden of this magnitude. And so we were kind of left saying, this is a great idea, but right now we don't have the needed resources in place to actually institute it.
All right. Further comment? Yes, Representative Woodcock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the Representative Tanner Allen. In that subcommittee meeting, was there any discussion about the multiple background checks required for across districts? For example, we have up here, if you work in 2 different districts in the same SAU, you have to get double background checks.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
Yes, there were, and from what I understand, they're currently looking and may have in place a way to give background checks, criminal history checks to bus drivers from multiple districts. And I think that once that system, that's kind of what we looked at, and then the Department of Safety realized there was a real problem and they needed to get a new system and find out who's responsible for what. But I think it's in the works, and some of it's already probably done.
Thank you, Representative.
All right. Further comments? Representative Ladd. You're muted, Rick.
You should be unmuted now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Representative Myler. I think we got to be in, regardless which way we go on this bill, I agree it needs more study and more work. We don't want to come across as an education committee saying that our people applying for certification don't need a criminal background check. That's absolutely, I think we would all support the need for ensure that the people in our classrooms, in our schools, are having criminal background checks. There are some concerns. If a student, for example, is trying to get into a post-secondary education course that's dealing with teaching in a classroom, you need to have a criminal background check even before you get to the school and you're working as a full-time or a part-time employee with certification. It's just a matter of costs. Okay, are they going to then have to submit to another criminal background check maybe a year later when they're out to get the first job that they're applying for? I think the criminal background check is needed. I think we also need to be careful that we're not mixing up apples and oranges here, where we have those people requiring certification and those employees not requiring certification. So I think the concept needs to move forward. The bill as it's written cannot move forward.
Representative
Okay.
Tanner.
Thank you. I just want to point out that this bill is about people that are employed, whether they're teachers who are certified or bus drivers, or they have to get the criminal background checks. This bill actually had 2 parts to it. One part of it increased the areas of criminal background history that they were looking at, including like arson and some of the other things that hadn't been initially in it. So that was one part that, and simple assault, there was a issue about assault, as I remember, that we were kind of concerned that it was going to include people that may not really need to be included. The other part of this bill was that the State Department of Education wants to have people who apply for certification. They finish college, they finish their student teaching, which they've taken 2 background checks at that point. And before they get their certification from the Department of Education, they want another criminal background check. And that is because they found, we weren't certain how many, but they found people who were, they said a significant number, getting certification in New Hampshire, and then went and taught someplace else, and didn't have a background check. And those other places that they may be teaching assumed that they had, and didn't do an employment background check. So there were a lot of moving parts to this bill. And as I said, I think it needs to, not only the Department of Safety needs to come up with, and they may have already different ways to approach this, as well as being a little bit more certain about what exactly is happening, that people are getting certifications in New Hampshire through the Department of Education to teach, but then don't teach in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I think the issue of reciprocity of a certification from our state to another state was clearly one of the issues that was pointed out in testimony, as I recall. So we have before us a motion to recommend future legislation, moved by Shaw, seconded by Ladd. Are there further comments on this particular recommendation?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I misinterpreted what I wanted for, or I didn't state what I wanted for this, because I remember now from the discussion, and I don't have my notes in front of me, unfortunately, that this particular bill really has too much in it. And just reading this one line, this is the part that I agreed with, but there's so much other stuff that was in it that I don't think this particular bill should go forward. So I'm going to withdraw my motion and recommend that. And if Representative Ladd wants to go forward, he can, but I'm going to withdraw my motion.
So you're withdrawing your motion to move forward, recommend that this go forward. Rick, what's your position on this?
Yes, we've had our discussion, and that I think we were successful in conveying the point that, yes, we support teacher certification background checks, but this is not the bill to do it with.
Okay. So I'm open for another motion then.
I move that we not recommend.
Okay, Representative
And
Shaw.
I'll second it.
Okay, Representative Shaw moves not to recommend future legislation on this. Moved by Shaw, seconded by Ladd. Further comments on this particular bill? None appearing, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll. The recommendation is not to recommend future legislation on this particular bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno.
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw.
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell.
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty.
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay.
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison.
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen.
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel.
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd.
Yes.
Representative Ladd votes yes. Representative Allard.
Yes.
Representative Allard votes yes. Chairman Myler.
Yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. 13-0 is the
Thank you
final
very
vote.
much. I close the executive session on House Bill 723 and now open the work session on House Bill 1163. Representative Luno.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1163 is titled Requiring Schools to Update Documents and Software to Include the Option of Identifying a Student as Non-Binary. Just a brief summary. We heard the bill on January 29th, exected on February 25th. interim study. It was voted 15-3 on interim study. There were some comments that came up during the hearing in exec with respect to maybe an effective date that would provide time for a school district and the state to make implementations, and a fiscal note with respect to the costs that would have to be incurred at the state and local levels. I believe we did reach out to the department, who provided us with some information on that, and I'd certainly yield to the prime sponsor with any thoughts on that.
The committee is now considering House Bill 1163. We're open for discussion and work session on 1163. Representative Woodcock.
Thank you, Representative Milo. 1163 is a very important bill in terms of students and parents. Youngsters are constantly put at additional stress, as are the parents, as they move from grade to grade, school to school, as determination of their binary and non-binary classification. Currently, the systems, as we heard in the testimony, in the larger schools have a contract that are cost-free, basically updating if it is a law. And the smaller systems in the past, and some of the more progressive systems, have found workarounds. The real issue becomes DOE changing their documentation piece and how they account for these youngsters. I think it was the most recent figure was around 20,000 as a financial note for DOE. And I don't think this bill should be driven by DOE's needs, but rather by student and parent needs, Mr. Chairman. And I think clearly that this non-binary bill needs to come back up for future legislation to allow students to progress through our system in the most comfortable and socially emotional effective way. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments on House Bill 1163?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Representative Luno.
I support everything the prime sponsor just said. All I was suggesting with respect to the fiscal note is that we need to be transparent in terms of costs, and I was encouraged to see that the costs seemed relatively marginal, given what we know are educational costs in so many other areas. So I would certainly also support this for future legislation.
Further comments? Seeing none, I will close the work session and open the exec session on House Bill 1163. And I'd call on Representative Woodcock for a motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would recommend that House Bill 1163 be recommended for future legislation.
Thank you. Seconded by Representative Doherty. The floor is now open for further conversation around House Bill 1163. Seeing none, we will move to a vote. I'll call the clerk to call the roll call on 1163, please. The motion is to recommend future legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno.
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw.
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell.
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty. You're muted, Representative.
You muted there.
There you go.
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay.
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison.
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen.
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel.
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd.
No.
Representative Ladd votes no. Representative Allard.
No.
Representative Allard votes no. Chairman Myler.
Yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. The vote tally is 11 yeas and 2 nays.
Okay, the motion to move House Bill 1163 has been approved and will be so noted. I'd now like to open up the work session on House Bill 1232. Representative Luno.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just also a quick question of the chair. I think our committee is responsible for drafting the interim study recommendation. And are we going to follow practice of the motion?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification. Yes, those who are moving the respective bill will be responsible for drafting the report. And again, and these particular things, the report does not have to be exhaustive. You basically indicate the nature of the conversation and then forward that to me for editing. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification, David.
So, and also, I think, you know, unlike other bill reports, we don't have majority and minority.
Right. As I noted earlier, there's a single
Yeah.
report that reflects the conversation of the interim of the exec session.
Right.
And the work
So,
session.
you know, so happy to, you know, like on a split vote like we just had, if there's something that needs to be added, that can be. When do you want these reports?
I would defer to Jen on this. When do these reports have to be submitted, Jen?
We're not on a tight timeline, but I think within the week would be great to
Okay.
give people plenty of time, but not let them get kind of forgotten about.
Okay. So we'll establish a date before we end on when those reports are due. Okay, David, you want to comment,
Great.
Introduce
Yeah, absolutely.
1232, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So House Bill 1232 is titled Relative to the Burden of Proof in Special Education Hearings. It was heard on February 12th and exec on February 26th. It was, I believe, had a 17-2 vote for interim study, and that's what I've got on it.
Okay, so the work session is now open for conversation on House Bill 1232. Comments from the committee.
I'll comment a little bit. This was the bill that turned the burden of proof in disputed special education cases from the aggrieved party, which is generally the family of a student, to the school district. And we heard tremendous testimony on this, legal testimony from the DOE. And it appeared from, we actually had a subcommittee that was appointed from our original discussion. And Representative Doherty was on that subcommittee, as was Representative Cordelli. And the subcommittee came forward with the recommendation for interim study. But this bill really would upend what we know as conflict resolution between the Department of Ed and the public. So I think it needs more than interim study.
Thank you. Any further comments on this? Appearing to have none, we will close the work session on House Bill.
Representative Myler, I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring to your attention that someone has their hand up in the attendee section. It's completely at your discretion whether you'd like to entertain any input from outside members, but I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. I think we're going to move forward in exec session. This is a conversation with the committee, and I'm just going to move forward on this. No further comments in the work session here. So we're going to close the work session and move to the exec session on House Bill 1232, and I call on Representative Mullen for a motion.
Thank you, Chairman. I am making the motion that House Bill 1232 not be recommended for additional legislation.
And that's seconded by Representative Cornell. The floor is now open for conversations on House Bill 1232.
Can I speak to my motion?
Yes, you can.
briefly?
Yes, you can.
All right,
Thank you.
We actually heard a tremendous amount of information from the Department of Education and learned a great deal from the Department of Education around this bill. Most specifically, we heard from Bridget Perry and the Learner Support Special Education Division. She handles all the complaints that come in from the public. We heard from Richard Farrell and Diana Fenton, who are appointed to investigate any employee misconduct, teacher misconduct that takes place in a school system. We heard from Stephen Berwick, who is in charge of mediation, neutral conferencing, and hearings. And virtually all of those people said that using this cadre that the Department of Education now implements, this Center for Appropriate Dispute Resolution in Special Ed. Their motto is prevention and resolution through partnership and collaboration. So I would say that this appears to be a problem looking for, a solution looking for a problem, and that this is a good opportunity for us to partner with the Department of Education and allow them to utilize the processes that they already have in place.
Thank you, Representative Mullen. Further comments on House Bill 1232? Representative Doherty.
I'd just like to state my support for Representative Mullen's comments on this, and I was in the same hearings with her, and I agree with her comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments from the committee? Appearing to have none, I will call the clerk to call the roll. The recommendation is not to pursue further legislation on this, made by Representative Mullen, seconded by Representative Cornell. Please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno?
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw?
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell?
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty?
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay?
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison?
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen?
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel?
You're muted.
Yes.
Cole. Okay.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock?
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd?
Yes.
Representative Ladd votes yes. Representative Allard?
Yes.
Representative Allard votes yes. Chairman Myler?
Yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. The result is 13-0.
Thank you very much. We'll close the exec hearing on House Bill 1232. Open the work session on House Bill 1282. Representative Luno.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1282 is an act relative to changing a pupil's school or assignment because of a manifest educational hardship. It was heard on January 22nd. My notes don't have a whole lot of testimony on it, but I think more significant to the, or more germane to the conversation this morning is that a similar bill, House Bill 1328, that I introduced along with my colleague Representative Ladd, directed to the same subject of manifest educational hardship, was passed in the House and was assembled by the Senate into the Education Omnibus Bill, which was House Bill 1558, and was passed by the legislature and signed into law by the governor. So I don't believe that that 1282 is necessary any longer for consideration, and I'll be moving that it be not recommended for future legislation.
You'll recall that this was a bill that Representative Luno and Ladd worked on really over 2 sessions, and a lot of work was done on their original bill to basically address this issue of manifest hardship. So I would concur with Representative Luno that this is not necessary. Other comments on this particular bill?
Yes, I'd also concur with Representative Myler. We've got 1328. There's no longer a need for this bill.
Okay. Further conversations on the work session on 1282. Appearing to have none, I will close the work session on 1282 and move to executive session on 1282. And I'd call on Representative Luno for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I recommend this not be recommend, or I move that this not be recommended for further legislation.
Seconded by Representative Shaw. Further conversation regarding House Bill 1282.
Only in writing up the findings that the majority is going to have here, I think we also have to state that it's already been done via another bill.
Yes. Yeah,
Yep,
absolutely. That would be that'd be part of the report. Further questions or comments? Appearing to have no further comments, I'll call the clerk to call the roll. The motion is not to move this, recommend this for further legislation. Representative, if you support it, you vote yes. If you're opposed, you vote no. Representative Tanner, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Luno.
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw.
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell.
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty.
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay.
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison.
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen.
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel.
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd.
Yes.
Representative Ladd votes yes. Representative Allard.
Yes.
Representative Allard votes yes. Chairman Myler.
Yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. The result is 13-0.
13-0 vote means that the recommendations for no further action has passed. I will close the executive session on House Bill 1282 and open the work session on House Bill 1344. Representative Luno.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1344 is titled An Act Relative to Reimbursement of Transportation Costs for Students Attending. I believe following some extensive discussion in School Funding Commission is that this is an important topic, and I believe that this bill is it would be important to have this addressed comprehensively during in our school funding work, and I would be supporting future legislation for this.
Representative Shaw.
Yes, the problem with my bill is that this is a great bill and it's very important. Manchester and Exeter and Nashua, they're about the only three that it really affects. But what happens is the CTE people get furious about it because of the funding, because it takes away funding from other areas. So I would rather see this bill go away, and I would rather see the transportation for CTE to be addressed in a package for all transportation and be included in the new funding legislations that will come out for adequate education from the Education Funding Commission that's been established.
Further comments? Representative Ladd?
I support what Representative Shaw is saying. However, I just want to make sure that everybody understands, and I know that Representative Luno and Representative Myler, you do, because you're on that commission. And of course, Representative Luno chairs it. Yes, transportation is a discussion item in that commission, a hot discussion at that. And where we place this, as we are discussing the other area of catastrophic aid or special education aid, is that to be part of adequacy, or is that going to be remaining a separate budget item in a separate category with separate funding sources? I believe that your policy, Representative Shaw, is a good policy. I think that any student that requires transportation to a CTE center regardless of whether that CTE center is within the district or not. It's a safety issue. It's an issue of trying to get more students participating in CTEs and coming out with those valuable skills. So this bill, the intent of the bill, the policy behind the bill is solid. What has always harmed us in the end is that, yes, we only have X number of dollars in the pot, and the CTE centers don't like distributing it, any further out than they're already doing. So it's a funding issue. The policy side, which our committee is, says, I think we should be moving this forward, at least getting this concept moving forward and resolving. For once, we need to be doing this.
Well, I think what it needs is a revamp, because talking with Eric, I can't think, Friedrich or whatever his last name is, over at DOE, he feels that the language will affect some other areas of the law. And so I need to resubmit a bill, and I need to do it along with him and make sure that the bill I submit doesn't open up the door for a whole bunch of other funding that has unintended consequences, let's put it that way. So that's why I want this one to just go away.
Hey, Representative Luno.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I agree with everything that's been said on this. I would only respectfully ask Representative Shaw to if you're going to be looking at working on legislation that affects school funding, work I think in conjunction with Representatives Myler, Ladd, and myself on that, so that we don't have competing bills going through, because
Absolutely.
this is all right. Great, thanks.
Okay, Representative Mullen.
Yeah, I was just going to support what Representative Shaw was offering as her explanation, because I was sort of the third leg of the stool of conversation about this with Eric Froworth at the DOE, because the reality is that in changing the definitions, as Representative Shaw's bill would have done, other districts would have, money would have been taken away from other districts in order to supplement the transportation costs in the larger school districts, where transporting from one side of town to the other is the equivalent of coming in from another town. So yeah, it was a little bit like the gingerbread man in terms of, if we change this, then it's going to change that, and it's going to unintendedly arrive here and change that. So I would listen to Representative Shaw's concerns about the language in the bill, not the policy, but the language.
Thank you. Further conversation in this work session.
We
Representative Ladd.
approved the first bill today, the 716, to move forward, even though we recognize there are a lot of issues with it.
Mhm.
Now we're dealing with a similar situation here, and we've been dealing with this issue. And several years back, Representative Shaw, I also sponsored a bill doing exactly what this bill's doing. We are a policy committee, and we're recognizing that there are really significant issues. If Eric was here from, as Dave Doherty knows, from the CTE Advisory Commission, that there's a state such as Delaware, which has more students participating in, over 50% of the high school students there participate in a CTE class and come out with a CTE skill. And they have the same amount of students as we have in this state, yet they're putting more emphasis dollars into their CTE program. We're turning this bill down simply because the other CTE programs are going to cry, we're not going to be funded this at the same rate. Our funding program for CTEs is broken. we also have to make a significant decision here regarding, is this going to be a part of adequacy or not part of adequacy? What happens if it's not? Then it's going to remain the way it is, and we have the kids in Exeter, Nashua, and Manchester still being screwed. So whether it comes forward in the same language, Barb, or you change it around to stay on task with the principle and the concept and the policy behind it, I think something should move forward.
I will.
Further comments, Dave Doherty, unmute yourself.
Just briefly, I agree with Rick on this. I think this is a good bill. I think just philosophically, I think it would be a good idea to be safe and move this forward. It can always be amended or ITL'd at a point where we know we're going to be able to do something out of the funding commission. I just think we'd err on the side of safety on this and move it forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Further comments? Representative Tanner.
I have a question. If it's recommended for further legislation, it still can be changed significantly.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that right? That Representative Shaw can change it, and
Oh, yeah.
it wouldn't.
Yeah.
She wouldn't be tied to this bill.
No.
No, that's right.
No. Okay, so it looks like there's some support for the concept of moving forward as we've talked about it here. So let's close the work session and let me open the exec session on House Bill 1344. And I'll call, who would like to make a motion to move this forward? Representative Ladd?
Yes, thank you very much, Representative Myler. I'd like to move this bill forward, dealing with the CTE transportation issue.
Okay, and I'll have seconded by Allard. Okay. A move by Ladd, seconded by Allard to move this forward. Is there further conversation in this executive session?
Yes.
Representative Ladd?
We have a funding issue with our CTE programs that's broader than just transportation. We have a tuition problem as well, where we're funding so many students, X number of students, and some districts are capping the number of students that are able to participate. We should be doing just the opposite with our CTE. Career technical education is a key to our success of meeting our goal by 2025 of having 65% of our kids with some kind of a skill or post-secondary degree. Transportation is critical. And I think that our saying yes to this, we will communicate that, we need all our students, not just the students that are outside Exeter, Nashua, and Manchester, but we need all our students participating. And that includes all those that we're missing throughout this entire state. So I would like to move this forward simply because of the principles involved, the concept, and the policy.
Thank you very much. Further comments? Appearing to see none, the recommendation and moved by Ladd, seconded by Allard, is to move 1344 for future legislation. I'd like to, if you're in support of that, you'll vote yes. If you're opposed, you vote no. I'd like to have the clerk call the roll, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno.
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw.
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell.
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty.
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay.
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison.
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen.
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel.
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd.
Yes.
Representative Ladd votes yes. Representative Allard.
Yes.
Representative Allard votes yes. Chairman Myler.
Yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. The result is 13 yeas, 0 nays.
So this, so 1344 is authorized or recommended to move forward. Thank you very much. I'd like to close the executive session on 1344 and move to open the work session on House Bill 1469. Representative Luno, please.
So thank you very much, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1469 is an act relative to hazing at educational institutions. It was heard in committee on January 23rd, and it was execed on February 25th. I believe it was recommended interim study at a vote of 16-2. During the hearing, there was substantial testimony. But I also think there were concerns that this bill was also a single committee bill, and it had several, I think, criminal Class A felony, Class A misdemeanor elements to it, and probably, you know, if it's you know, something like this would certainly need to be considered by a second policy committee.
Thank you. Conversation, discussion is now open on House Bill 1469. Comments from the committee. Representative Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say a couple things. This is a well-intentioned bill, but it's pretty convoluted. It's got quite a few mandates, and I think it's not quite ready for prime time. And I think it needs a lot more work in order to go forward. Thanks.
Representative Ladd.
Thank you very much, Representative Myler. When I testified before the committee in support of this bill, I stated, and I still feel this way, I am supportive of 1469's intent. In order to move forward with a bill that best fits New Hampshire, it may be wise to consider interim study in order that the U.S. University System New Hampshire, including trustees, the Community College System of New Hampshire, the Higher Education Commission, the State Board of Education, and the New Hampshire College and University Council be involved and have time to review an opportunity to submit findings on this bill. There's no room for hazing at all in our post-secondary education system, secondary or post-secondary. Hazing is a practice with no value and it's unhealthy. However, I do believe that we need to move forward cautiously and have a bill that is been vetted amongst all these different organizations that are involved, especially the University System New Hampshire. So I could go either way on this. I think the intent is a wonderful intent. However, there are some major issues with that. This needs a lot of work. So perhaps this is one that we should be going the other direction on.
Thank you. Further comments on House Bill 1469? Appearing no further comments, I close the work session and open the executive session on House Bill 1469. I call on David Doherty for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to not recommend further legislation.
Recommended by Doherty, seconded by Shaw. The conversation, the floor is now open for discussion on the recommendation of not to recommend further legislation. Representative Luno.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. So some of the things that I think were presented during the hearing and in subsequent conversations have come out that both the community college system in New Hampshire and the university system in New Hampshire have comprehensive policies in place that really to address incidents of hazing and provide enforcement and working with internal campus authorities on this, and also notification to all students as to the hazing policies on these institutions. And I think to a large degree, this bill could end up being sort of a little bit duplicative and contradictory to some of the policies that are in place now. So I support Representative Doherty's motion.
Okay. Further conversations on House Bill 1469. Seeing none, the motion was moved by Doherty, seconded by Shaw, that we do not recommend further legislation on this particular item. If you support that, you vote yes. If you're opposed, you vote no. The clerk will please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno?
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw?
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell?
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty?
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay?
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison?
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen?
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel?
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock?
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd?
Yes.
Representative Ladd votes yes. Representative Allard?
Yes.
Representative Allard votes yes. Chairman Myler?
Yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. 13 yeas, 0 nays.
So House Bill 1469, it's approved that we will not recommend further action on this. Close the executive session on 1469, and now we'll open the on House Bill 1509. Representative Luno.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1509 is titled An Act Relative to Emergency Threat Protection Orders for Individuals at Post-Secondary Educational Institutions. We had an interesting path with this one. We had a hearing back on February 5th, an exec on February 12th. The original motion of ought to pass as amended had a split vote of 10-10, and a subsequent vote brought this to interim study. It's a bill that I'm the prime sponsor on it, so I might, Mr. Chair, with your indulgence, just
Fine.
speak for a minute on
Yes,
the,
you may.
on the
Yes.
bill. Was a bill that really came out of the work of last year's Public Higher Education Study Committee, and we heard specifically from Chief Dean at UNH, as well as other campus security professionals within the university system, that one of the things that they were looking for most from our State House was please help us, please help provide the tools for us that we can use to protect our students, particularly in instances where they may be looking to either harm themselves or other students or faculty members around them. And the text for House Bill 1509, while it was driven by this need that we learned from higher education campus security personnel, really stemmed out of research work that was conducted by Jim Silver while he was at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and analyzing mass shootings across the United States and really looking at them in strong detail. The bill did have bipartisan sponsorship, but I think most importantly, it's an issue that still is a problem on our campuses of higher education, and I'll be supporting a recommendation for further legislation to help address it. It may not necessarily be this bill, but I think we need to do something to help reduce instances of violence at our institutes of higher education. We're dealing with a vulnerable population here, and I think that would be an appropriate way forward.
Thank you. Further comments on House Bill 1509? Not appearing to have any further comments. I will close the work session on 1509 and open the exec session on 1509, and I call on Representative Luno for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that we recommend this for future legislation.
Moved by Luno, seconded by Lay, to move this for future legislation. Further conversations on the recommendation? Any further? Representative Ladd.
It was a 10-10 vote, of which I think that there was a lot of issues when I know there were a number of issues regarding language, which was very subjective. In one section where it says, in determining whether a danger exists, the court shall determine if the following conditions are met. Risk-taking behavior. Well, I have a lot of risk-taking behavior. Some people may suffer from depression. Giving away prized possessions, lack of interest in future plans. Some of those things, can go either way. And so, but if you have 4 of those things, you're all of a sudden in this category. I think the bill was crafted with a lot of nebulous language in it, and definition of law enforcement officials. So with that, this bill is definitely not ready to move forward. And I will vote well, I know what the motion will probably be. I'll probably vote the opposite.
Well, the motion is to move it forward.
Yes.
Okay. Further comments on the recommendation to move 1509 forward? None appearing. Representative Tanner.
Yes. Initially, I voted in opposition to this bill because it, again, had some ambiguous language in it. And also, I felt as though the penalties and the tools that were given needed to be vetted a little bit more, and perhaps even go through another committee that would deal more with particularly the issue of removing firearms.
Thank you. Further comments? Okay, we'll move forward to a vote. The recommendation moved by Luno, seconded by Lay, to move this legislation forward for future consideration. If you are in support of that motion, you will vote yes. If you're opposed, you'll vote no. The clerk will please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno.
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw.
No.
Representative Shaw votes no. Representative Cornell.
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty.
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay.
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes no. Representative Ellison.
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen.
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel.
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd.
No.
Representative Ladd votes no. Representative Allard.
No.
Representative Allard votes no. Chairman Myler.
Yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. The tally is 9-4.
9-4, the motion passes, and this will recommend that it will go forward, noting the opposition that's there. I will close the exec session on 1509 and open the work session on 1512. Representative Luno.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1512 is titled An Act Relative to Reducing School Food Waste and Addressing Child Hunger. For brief history, it was heard on January 28th, exec on February 26th. The interim study recommendation, I think that vote was 20 to nothing. And we did hear, I think, some very impassioned testimony during the hearing. My notes suggest that that potentially some amended language may be something that's worth considering down the road, and that it would be worthy of future consideration. So.
Thank you. The floor is now open for a conversation regarding 1512.
I can certainly add to that. As you may recall, I think the idea was a very welcome one on our committee. I think there was some concern perhaps that the bill needed to be flushed out a little bit with regard to packaging. There were a lot of questions that were raised. I think the fact that it was 20-0, it was placed on the consent calendar for vote, which actually, as we all know, didn't happen. But I think this might give the LSR writers a better opportunity now to maybe involve school nutrition directors or even the Superintendent's Association. I'm not sure if it'll even come back to our committee initially, just with regards to the safety protocols. Anecdotally, last night at our local budget committee, we heard from our SAU finance director talking about the success they've had with school lunch delivery during the COVID-19. We've opted to offer free breakfasts and lunches in the community. And they've learned a lot about packaging and preparation and delivery of these things, different ways to do it. So I think there's a lot more that could be done for this, but it's a good idea. So I will recommend that we move forward.
Further conversation regarding House Bill 1512. Representative Woodcock.
Thank you, Chairman Mile. Just a question. If I recall, looking at my notes, this specific bill dealt with, is this correct, enabling legislation that it wouldn't be required for all communities? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you,
I
sir.
mean, we could certainly recommend that it be
Oh,
enabling. but-
thank you.
Further conversation. Representative Ladd.
Just trying to recall, but I believe that this program is successfully done out in Indiana, and a lot of success to the program. And as I see it, it's a positive thing that we ought to be considering. Anything we can do to help those families that don't have food on the table, I think we should try to do.
Thank you. Further comments? Seeing none, we'll close the work session and move to the exec. I'll open the exec session on 1512 and recommend Representative Lay for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to recommend future legislation regarding HB 1512.
Seconded by Representative Mullen. Further conversation on House Bill on the recommendation to move this forward on 1512. Further conversation? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll. The motion is to move this forward, move 1512 forward. If you are in support, you vote yes. If you're opposed, you vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno.
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw.
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell.
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty.
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay.
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison.
What
Looks like
happened
we
to
may have
Art?
just lost him.
Okay,
Come back to him or?
Yeah.
Representative Mullen.
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel.
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd.
Yes.
Representative Ladd votes yes. Representative Allard.
Yeah,
Representative Allard votes yes. Representative Ellison, are you with us? Chairman Myler.
yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. The tally is 12 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion then passes to move 1512 forward. And I will close the executive session on 1512 and open the work session on 1635. Representative Luno?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1635 is titled An Act Requiring Climate Education in Grade and Secondary Schools. My notes are actually a little thin on this one, but I do have that on February 26th. It was exec 13.7 interim study, and let's see. I don't see anybody on the on our committee that was in as a sponsor on this, but I'm going to end my remarks there.
As I recall, on this particular one, I think there was a general concurrence of the need for this to be covered in schools. There was some question around another mandate, another curriculum mandate to school districts, and there was some concern that this is already being taught in a number of different ways, and that the bill, as I recall, was fairly prescriptive as it relates to the amount of time and almost outlined a lesson plan to consider this. And so I think the main concern, as I recall, was, do we want to have another mandate, another unfunded mandate that would go to school districts requiring them to deal with this important topic? That's my recollection. Representative Mullen and Representative Ladd.
And not only was it prescriptive by grade level, the language of the bill was very confusing because even members of our committee had a different understanding of exactly how much climate change education was going to take place at various grade levels. So I don't think it's ready to be looked at before some significant work is done.
Representative Ladd?
Yes, everything that's been said, including what you said, Representative Myler, is right on the money. I was talking to the people down at Cold Region Center here in Hanover, dealing with cold region climate, and they're dealing with issues like the permafrost, how that's disappearing in various places. But they also indicated this is part of our overall science curriculum. And when we start identifying specific areas within chapters or titles within and putting that as a mandate, we're starting to get in the realm of where the responsibility lies with the school district for instruction and curriculum. So I think we've given the broad topic out to our schools through our substantive criteria for what an adequate education is by saying you will have standards associated with science. So I don't think there's a need for this bill. I think it's starting to get down in the weeds, and we better be careful going there.
Representative Allard, then Representative Doherty.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am supremely confident in the capabilities of our science curriculum educators, and I think this is a topic best left to them to devise and structure and present. And I think we at this level, trying to dictate things are just going to muck it up.
Thank you. Representative Doherty.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I agree this may not be a perfect bill, but I think this topic is so important, particularly in what's going on in this country over the past few months. I think it's important that we keep this on the table. I'm in favor of moving this forward. I agree that there might be some need for amendment or change in the bill. I know the prime sponsor is not returning to the House, but I'm hoping that somebody else will kind of pick up the torch and run with it. So I think it's valuable to keep this out there for people to understand how important it is. Thank you.
Representative Woodcock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would, it's interesting to hear Representative Allard talk about scientists doing science. I like it. On a bigger picture, though, this is in the standards, and I agree with Representative Ladd. I'm very concerned that in any of these prescriptive bills that we're constantly requiring local districts on what to do and what not to do on a curricular basis, on any other local legislation. I just believe we have to allow our local school systems and to deal with local curriculum within the standards.
Thank
so
you.
I will not be supporting that.
Okay, thank you. Further conversation regarding House Bill 1635. Appearing to have none, I will close the work session and open the exec section on 1635. And I'd like to call on Representative Woodcock for a motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would recommend that we do not move this legislation forward.
Seconded by Shaw. The motion is now on the floor for conversation. Further comments? Appearing to have none, the motion before the committee is not to recommend further action on this by the House. If you are in support of that recommendation, you'll vote yes. If you're opposed, you'll vote no. And I'll call the clerk to call the roll, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Luno.
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw.
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell.
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty.
No.
Representative Doherty votes no. Representative Lay.
No.
Representative Lay votes no. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison. Representative Mullen.
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel.
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock.
Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd.
Yes.
Representative Ladd votes yes. Representative Allard.
Yes.
Representative Allard votes yes. Chairman Myler.
Yes, and you have Representative Allison is also on the line. He just needs to unmute himself.
Okay, Representative Ellison. Or yes.
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Myler.
Yes.
Representative Myler votes yes. The tally is 11 yeas, 2 nays.
Thank you very much. With that vote, the recommendation is not to have the climate education program recommendation go forward. I will close the exec session on 1635 and move to open the work session on 1682. Representative Luno.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. House Bill 1682 is titled An Act Requiring Schools to Maintain Food Allergy Plans to Address Food Allergy Safety and Training. My notes show that we held a hearing on this back on January 21st and then execed on February 18th. And in that exec, it was recommended to go to interim study. I'm showing in my, also in my notes that, that there were at least a couple different amendments that that were put forth on it, and I think there was still some committee discussion on how it may apply to non-public schools, training with respect to the food allergy safety, impact on daycare, contract bus services. So a lot of open items on it, but I sense a real willingness, or real interest, I should say, to see some movement going forward on this.
Representative Cornell.
Yeah, the subcommittee met numerous times and heard testimony from numerous organizations, and everyone thought it was very important to look at and do something about, but it was a lot bigger than the bill or the amendments. And you know, the fiscal part of it came in too. How much would it cost, and who should be trained, and how will they be trained? And then it got into bus drivers and taxi drivers, and it just got really, really big. So we thought it was a really good bill, but it really needs a lot more work.
Thank you. Thank you. Further comments on 1682? Appearing not to see any further comments, I will close the work session and open the executive session on 1682, and I'll call on Representative Tanner for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I recommend that this bill be recommended for future legislation.
Thank you.
I think it's
moved by Tanner, seconded by Cornell. Representative Tanner, you want to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. We had an issue at the school that I taught at, a very severe issue with food allergies, but I think it's also important to recognize all the other allergies that students have. And in so many of our schools now, there's not a school nurse. There's still no school nurse coordinator at the DOE. And we have people at elementary schools who are simply the secretary, who are taking care of first aid issues and anything that happens. And unfortunately, allergies are something that you need to be trained on, that time is critical, that a person could suffer an allergy attack, anaphylactic shock, and die within minutes if they don't get the proper treatment. So I think this is a critical issue, if for no other reason than to make schools aware of it, and to get them to work on producing plans and having something in place to deal with it. So I think it's a very important bill to move forward.
Thank you. Further comments on the recommendation to move this bill forward? Further comments? Seeing none, the recommendation moved by Tanner, seconded by Cornell, to move 1682 forward in next session. If you are in support of that motion, you will vote yes. If you're opposed, you'll vote no. The clerk will please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Representative Luno.
Yes.
Representative Luno votes yes. Representative Shaw.
Yes.
Representative Shaw votes yes. Representative Cornell.
Yes.
Representative Cornell votes yes. Representative Doherty.
Yes.
Representative Doherty votes yes. Representative Lay.
Yes.
Representative Lay votes yes. Representative Tanner votes yes. Representative Ellison.
Yes.
Representative Ellison votes yes. Representative Mullen.
Yes.
Representative Mullen votes yes. Representative Reel.
Yes.
Representative Reel votes yes. Representative Woodcock.
You're
Yeah. Yes.
Representative Woodcock votes yes. Representative Ladd.
No.
Representative Ladd votes no. Representative Allard.
Yes.
Representative Allard votes yes. Chairman Myler.
yes.
Chairman Myler votes yes. The tally is 12-1.
12-1. with 12 to 1 vote, the recommendation of moving it of 1682 forward has been passed, and I will close the executive session on 1682. It looks like, Jen, I'm looking to you as have we completed the work for this interim, these interim bills now?
You've completed your work for today. We just need the statements and then you
Okay.
guys will be all finished.
I would suggest that, again, those who are moving their respective pieces, that they have those to me by Monday, the 28th. Is that okay, Jen?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so that gives us about a week to get them to me. And again, these do not have to be long statements. They basically just have to state the position of the committee and where there was some opposition to them. That opposition needs to be also incorporated into that single statement that you'll be making. Before we go, I do want to alert you to a potential joint House Senate Education Committee meeting. I believe it's going to be scheduled for October 7th. And the purpose of that session will be to review the school openings. We'd like to have a chance to revisit with those people who presented at the original joint session several weeks ago. And both Senator Khan and I are working to try to identify what has worked and what have been some of the problems and some recommendations for going forward. So I'm just giving you an alert to that. I believe it's going to be on the 7th. So just kind of keep a heads up and we'll let you know when that finally is confirmed. Anything else, Jen, before we close this committee?
Nothing. I'll just give you all a high five for being so concise and working through the 11 bills. Was one of our biggest number for each committee. So you guys did an awesome job. Thank
Great.
you for that.
Thanks a lot for everybody attending and for Rick and Tamara who are dealing with kids at home. God love you. It's a tough situation, I know, and but your experiences will help the committee, I'm sure, in the future. So, all right. So, thanks so much, and we'll see you soon in a couple of weeks. Take care now, and thanks for participating. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Mel.
Enjoy. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.